David Cronenberg is a director that has scared us with such movies as Scanners, Rabid, The Brood, and now he has brought us an exciting, fast-moving drama, The Dead Zone, from a book by Stephen King. The Dead Zone is the first thriller that you've directed that you yourself have not written. Are your visions, do you feel your visions of terror are the same as those of Stephen King, the author?
Well, it's not so much visions of terror as certain other things that I think I wanted to acquire from Stephen and from his novel The Dead Zone. In fact, I think that when it comes to what we think horror is about, I think that Stephen and I do agree very much. But what was interesting to me about the Dead Zone were the differences between our work rather than the similarities, and I was very much attracted to the characters of the Dead Zone, which were a very open, simple, accessible, honest, almost naive, small-town characters, very different from the characters that I normally deal with in my own scripts. And I wanted very much to kind of fuse my own sensibility with that aspect of Stephen King's sensibility, and to make a film that would perhaps be different from either of us separately, but hoping that the strengths were what were coming together, that it could be a very strong film.
Deborah, are there any special problems in dealing with the works of as popular an author as Stephen King and translating his works to the screen?
Stephen King is a really prolific writer, and there's a lot of people who love his books. He's very well known. He writes a bestseller almost every year. And there's a problem bringing his books to the screen because people are so fond of them that you can't choose every aspect of the book to put onto the screen, and sometimes they miss their favorite scenes, their favorite characters, and it's a real problem. In The Dead Zone, we tried to get a perfect marriage of the novel and the film medium, but even then we lost some things.
Your roles, both in film and on stage, have been incredibly diverse. How do you manage to cram in all the experience necessary to allow you to understand the people you're portraying?
I don't really. I'd have to say I'm really a journeyman actor. I'm just passing through here. I'm observing something, and like Diego Rivera, I paint what I see, and I don't try to make any comment about it. I'm just passing through. Images pop up. They conjure up imaginative behavior. I go with that. I trust my instinct, which is generally 85% of the time accurate. I'll take responsibility for that and the 15% where I'm in the wrong. I love being alive, and I love the challenge of it. I think we're a whole lot better than we're showing, just as I think I'm a whole lot better than I'm showing. So I have great hope for the future, and I have a very, I have to say, extremely optimistic outlook.
In several of your television and feature films, you've portrayed characters who had to act normally within totally unreal situations. Does it take any kind of special effort to maintain your character's sense of reality when everything around him, as in Apocalypse, is irrational or illogical?
Well, you know, you have only to wake up of a given morning and pick up a newspaper, and you have to wonder what kind of world we're living in. We're a drug culture. We've got a higher percent of divorce than any country in the world. We consume 53% of what the world produces, and yet we're only 6% of the population. We have interests in every conceivable part of the world. We're so spread thin, and yet we're asked to live normal lives under the threat of nuclear annihilation, everybody on the globe. So you have to wonder what is sane and what is not sane. I think you have to have, and I don't mean to sound like this to sound like in a religious sense, but in a very realistic sense, in a very personal sense, you have to have some kind of one-on-one relationship with God or the other or the cosmos or something. You've got to have a connection with a far more important reality than what's going on here. You have to find in other people that quality which you best seek in yourself, the very best in you. Not project the worst on others and expect the worst. You have to really expect the best, because times are so anxiety-ridden and so precarious that maintaining one's sanity can be a day-to-day job. I've often felt that acting was above all good therapy, because it gives the actor a license, as it were, to deal in areas that ordinarily he would be arrested for or locked up for. I think our insane asylums, and in large measure a lot of our inmates in some of the prisons, are people who were thwarted in their effort to live creative lives. They didn't have the license. They did things in public that we do in films, theater, so forth, that we're allowed to explore because of the license that they're not allowed to explore, and they're jailed for it or locked up for it, put away, categorized. So I think that in large measure it's the creativity that's thwarted that causes serious problems in the society.